When having a look at the Godox Movelink M2, the first thing that is going to jump out at you is the value. And when I give you the list of included functions and included accessories at this price point, I think this kit might very well be untouchable when it comes to that pure value and what you're getting for your money. And included in this kit are 2 transmitters, 1 receiver, 2 wind muffs for the transmitters, a charging case with wrist strap, 2 lapel mics, 2 cables, 1 to hook up to your camera, 1 to hook up to your phone, and 3 metal discs which allow you to use the transmitters through your shirt, like placing it at any location by using the magnet in the back of the transmitter to sort of attach it to the metal disc. Now, I don't think there's any other kit out there that certainly that I've heard of that is under $200 that offers all this. And in fact, this kit comes with so much gear and so many extras that I actually had to repurpose a little case that came with one of my other microphones just to carry around all the extra gear. Now, the system isn't perfect, and I will go through what I liked and didn't like about the system, but certainly from a value perspective, it is very, very hard to fault this setup. Now, one of the things that is really, really good about the system is just how easy it is to use. Now, sometimes I've had an issue with other systems where I'm turning them on and I'm tweaking and trying to configure and getting levels, what have you. I must admit, I was able to just turn these on, put them on the cameras, put one of the units of the transmitters on myself, and away I went. And it just worked perfectly without any touching. I didn't have to sync anything. I didn't have to change anything. I didn't have to play with settings. So certainly from an ease of use perspective, straight out of the box, these things are going to work for most people. Now, the kit I got is the M2 kit. There's also an M1 kit. The only difference between those two is the M1 kit only has 1 transmitter, so you can't have sort of 2 guests or 2 people speaking and going into the camera. The M2 system has the 2 different transmitters. So we've got 2 different audio sources, and those end up in your camera in one of 2 different ways. It can end up in 2 separate tracks, so your left channel will be one person and your right channel will be the other person. That way you can control and tweak those audio levels if one person is speaking louder than the other, or whether one of the transmitters is located in a slightly different location. So that way you can actually tweak those 2 audio tracks separately and then sort of mix them in editing. But if you're somebody that really doesn't want to mess with that, you can actually just use what they call the stereo mode, and it takes both of the transmitters and just mixes them into a stereo signal in the camera. So both people are talking and both people are on both tracks, which is probably the easiest way to use this system, as long as the audio levels between the 2 are fairly similar. Now, with the included lapel mic, this is a very, very good lapel mic. Now, I won't say it is a great or pro level lapel mic, and it's certainly not a junk or garbage level lapel mic, which you actually get with a lot of these systems. It seems like that they're just throwing something in so they can say that there's a lapel mic included. This is a very good, very usable lapel mic. I would say that if I was going to buy this on its own, I would value it at maybe a $30 or $40 lapel mic. Now, it's not only good in the way that it sounds, it's actually good in the way it has quite a premium feel to it. The cord is quite thick. It doesn't feel fragile at all. The actual head of the capsule has this little wind muff or a foam wind muff that you can put on, and it has sort of a little rubber gasket, so when you push it on, it clicks in place. Now, this is one of the things with most lapel mics, even pro level lapel mics, they often come with this little bit of foam that you just stick on, and honestly, within 15 minutes, the thing is gone. You essentially have to have a box of them setting aside because you are just going to lose them unless you're in extremely controlled environments where your guest or person speaking isn't moving at all. So I really like the fact this clips on. There's no reason that you would ever lose it. It does have a high quality metal clip that stays in place, and the cord itself comes with a sort of little Velcro strap that goes around to sort of hold the whole thing together. So you are getting a very good quality lapel mic, and certainly unlike a lot of kits out there where when you buy the kit, the first thing you have to do is throw out the lapel mics and buy a better lapel mic, or kits that don't come with lapel mics, the first thing you need to do is go buy a lapel mic. Certainly this is a very good lapel mic and you can use it, and I think it adds a lot of value to this kit. It's also quite incredible that at this price point you're getting the charging case. Now, there's a lot of different systems out there that have no choice of charging case, so even if you wanted to buy one separately, you could not. Other ones charge a bit extra for the charging case. So at this price point, to have an included charging case is pretty impressive. And it is just so simple to use. The units just come in and out, and when they set in the case, they just hit these little metal contact points in the case, sort of on the backs of the unit. And that way, when you close it, you just have one cord that you need to plug in, and away you go, and it will charge all the units properly. You don't have to sort of worry about monitoring it or anything like that. Just shut it, plug it in, and it will charge all the units. They even give you, I mean, this is just the value that you get from this kit. They even give you 3 cords to charge them separately if for some reason that's the way you wanted to charge them. So you can charge them all in here together, or you can charge them separately. It's your option. The cables are included to do all of that. So once again, just value, a lot of options and a lot of inclusions at this price point. Another unique feature that you will find in this kit, which you won't find in, I would say, most other kits, is you have a headphone jack on the receiver that goes on your camera built into that little receiver. So you can monitor the audio as it sounds when it hits the receiver. So you can check your levels there, you can check whether it's cutting out or you've got any interference. Now, in a perfect world, I would generally suggest if you have a camera that happens to have a headphone jack, then monitoring your audio from the headphone jack in the camera is a better solution, because that will not only tell you what's going on with your microphone system, it will also allow you to check your levels in the camera itself. So if you've got something going wrong within the camera itself, it will cover you for any problems there. But a lot of cameras, particularly budget-friendly cameras, do not have headphone jacks, which means that you have no ability to monitor your audio whatsoever. So having this little unit kind of gives you a headphone jack, or it does give you a headphone jack, but it gives you an option to monitor your audio. Not quite as good as a headphone jack in the actual camera itself, but still quite good. So all you got to do is monitor your audio coming out of that sort of receiver, and then just look at the audio levels in your camera as sort of a backup and make sure that those aren't peaking out and they're at the right level. Usually you want them hitting about -12 to -6 decibels, and make sure that even with the loudest noises, they aren't peaking out. So I do think that is a great option, specifically for people that do not have a headphone jack in their camera. Now, as far as the control of all your functions, all of the controls for the units are done from the receiver itself. So if you've got 2 people that you're sort of interviewing, or they're part of whatever project you're doing, you can control whether the channels are separated, so whether you get left and right, so one person speaking on the left channel and one person is speaking on the right channel, or whether they're mixed into a stereo track. You can control that from the transmitter. You can control the levels in each transmitter independently, or you can do them as a group, so you can control them both up and down, or you can set one up and down or the other. And you can also monitor the audio levels in the receiver, so it shows how strong the signal is as it hits the receiver. Once again, this isn't the same as how strong the audio levels are once they're in the camera. Those are 2 different steps, so you have to keep an eye on both of those. But it does make sure, you can make sure that you aren't peaking out or maxing out just by looking at the receiver on the camera. Now, one thing I will say about that sort of audio level monitor on the receiver, it's a bit delayed. It's like you say something and then it takes a few seconds before you see that come through. I would like to see that be a bit more instant. It is usable, it is functional, but just that part of the system isn't quite as good as some of the other systems out there. Now, the units come with a built-in magnet in the back of the clip, and they come with these little metal discs. So you can just put the metal disc inside someone's shirt, and then you just put it to the back of the transmitter, and then it just clips on their shirt sort of anywhere you want, or any piece of fabric. The other thing is, if you've got a metal surface somewhere that you just want to sort of plant a mic, what they call a plant mic, which is just in sort of a location somewhere, just to kind of get some ambiance, you can do that as well. So that's just an extra little bonus feature. I don't know how much I'll use it, but the fact that it's included once again at this really low price point, I think is pretty cool. Now, when it comes to the wind muffs that actually go on the transmitters for using outdoors, we've got some sort of pluses and minuses here. On the plus side, these things are not going to come off almost no matter what you do. I mean, they clip on and they are on there. I mean, I can hold the transmitter by the wind muff. Most other systems out there, that is going to come off, and some of them it's a real problem. They bump and they come off really easy. So the fact that these things stay on so well and do a very good job of knocking down wind noise as well is a big benefit to these units. Now the problem is, and almost the elephant in the room, is this is the transmitter without the wind muff on. This is the transmitter with the wind muff on. I mean, there is no hiding this. This is like you're wearing a troll doll on your shirt. So in most cases, I really couldn't imagine using this where you're going to be able to see this wind muff on the camera. I've even debated whether I try to trim this back and make it a bit smaller. So I would love to see a change in that design, just as far as how obvious and over the top that is. I mean, really, it's almost on the verge of absurd. To be honest, I think most of these units, including these units, do work best with a little lapel mic. So using a lapel mic instead of keeping that under your shirt to knock down the wind, or just getting a small fuzzy wind muff to knock down the wind that goes on the lapel mics, is another option. But just something to be aware of, this wind muff is on the verge of ridiculous, really. And you get both cables, so you can use this with your phone or computer, or you can use this with your camera. So you've got a TRRS cable, which you would use with a phone or a computer, and you get a TRS cable, which you would use for most sort of pro-level audio devices or your camera. So that gives you an option, no extra cables to buy, away you go. As with some other microphone systems and some other microphones, you're looking at an extra sort of up to $20 just for that cable. So once again, great value, nice that they've included it in this kit. So would I recommend the Godox Movelink M2? I would say absolutely, and very specifically for somebody who's on a budget, needs a 2-transmitter kit, needs the lapel mics, and needs to get the whole thing done under $200. This is really probably the most compelling option I have seen to date. You really get a lot for your money. So for somebody that's in that specific situation, this system would come highly recommended.